Hello everyone and welcome back to Destiny. Off the heels of the massive amount of news we got from all of the EDZ gameplay footage, we now have even more information given to us by way of the PlayStation trophy list for Destiny 2. And naturally, whether Bungie likes it or not, this does confirm some interesting things about your progression through the game, as well as some really interesting insight into the endgame. There is also this Trials looking gun that a lot of people are talking about. I want to give you my thoughts on what I think this is all about. And as far as the trophy list itself, there are some potential story spoilers here, so sorry again if you want to stay clear of that. I think later in the week I'll put together a spoiler-free list of facts for the launch in case you want to go in a little bit more prepared, but for now you may want to click away if you want to jump into the Destiny 2 experience blind. For everyone else, let's jump into it. First up, I want to address this weapon that a lot of people have been thinking is evidence of the return of Trials of Osiris. Now, while this weapon definitely looks like it might belong to some sort of Trials weapon set, I don't think that's the case, and that's for a few reasons. One, this is a very intricate looking weapon. I think this is a little over the top for a simple legendary. At least that was my first impression, and then it's sort of backed up by a few other details. First up, if you look at the weapon icon in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see it has a unique silhouette for this specific weapon. This is only something you see amongst exotics. Weapons that are legendary and below share the same weapon icon for each of the weapon types. Also in this footage, you can see that this gun shoots a 5-round burst. Now, I don't know about you, but that would be pretty overpowered for a simple legendary. It feels more like an intrinsic perk for an exotic. Also, one more detail is on the scarab icon right underneath the sights. If you're paying close attention while he's getting kills, it actually fills in with red. And this might play into its exotic perk. Maybe once this fills up, kind of like a supercharge, it might have its own supercharge type ability. So in short, I don't think this weapon necessarily says that Trials of Osiris is coming out. I think this is just an Osiris-themed weapon, maybe belonging to a world quest or something that might be expanded in the first DLC. And besides, we already have a very reliable rumor which tells us that the event is going to be called Trials of the Nine, which means it would be disassociating it from Osiris because I think they're going to be focusing on Osiris for story. But anyways, let me know in the comments below if you think this is part of a legendary set or if it is in fact an exotic. But anyways, getting right into the meat and potatoes of this video, let's talk about that trophy list. A lot of really cool stuff here. Again, we're going to be getting into some potential spoilers, so another last chance to click away. Otherwise, let's get into it. First up, we start with the Platinum Trophy, which is Traveler's Chosen, which is simply to collect all the trophies in Destiny 2. Pretty commonplace. Next up, we have Long and Winding Road. This is the first of only 2 silver trophies, which is definitely interesting. Everything else is a gold trophy. But this trophy is simply attained for reaching level 20, which essentially does confirm the level cap at 20. Next up, we have Zavala's Lieutenant, Cade's Pathfinder, and Ikora's Protege, and they're all very similar trophies, essentially granting you a gold trophy for acquiring each of the Titan subclasses, the Hunter subclasses, and Warlock subclasses, respectively. And it makes it sound like there are many subclasses. I would say at least 3. If there was only 2, I would say that they would use the word both maybe instead of each. And by the way, in the video I did a couple days ago, we did find that those 3rd subclasses will be returning in Destiny 2. Of course, we don't have the confirmation on whether they'll be called what they were in Destiny 1, the Night Stalker, Stormcaller, and Sunbreaker, but again, since they have a lot of significance in the Destiny lore and the way the item was presented to you, it was telling you to regain your lost power, there's a pretty good chance that those are going to be returning. Next, we have Show Me What You Got, which reads Complete Shaxx's Call to Arms. Now, this could simply be a sort of Crucible quest. It might be something simple, something introductory like we have in Destiny 1, simple to complete just to get people to try out the Crucible. Trophies like this are sort of commonplace for games that are more PvE focused, but have some sort of multiplayer on the side. Next up, we have In a Flash, and that is for completing a flashpoint. We know week to week there are going to be different destinations designated as the flashpoint. We still don't know whether or not that's going to be hitting right at week 1. I kind of hope it does because I would like as much loot as possible to get me raid ready, but again, not something difficult to achieve once you get to later stages of the game. After that, we have the People's Hero, which is simply to complete a heroic public event. This is the second silver trophy, and rightfully so. It doesn't seem like it's going to be very difficult to achieve. And then we have Heart of Darkness, which is to complete a Nightfall Strike. We have the Life Exotic to collect 15 exotic weapons or armor. Challenge Accepted, which is to complete 30 challenges. And these are the sort of bounty looking things that showed up when everyone pulled out their ghost in the footage that we saw. It looks like you're assigned 3 of them per day. And I don't know if they're going to be different depending on the destination you're in, but again, not very difficult to achieve. If that's 3 a day, that's going to be only 10 days of doing these. Now, the final 3 trophies is where things get very interesting, with the next one being Belly of the Beast, complete the Leviathan raid. Okay, we're getting some information here. The Leviathan raid. We've seen the word Leviathan used in Destiny lore before, and at first glance, it might seem like this has nothing to do with Gaul in the story. This wouldn't be something out of the ordinary because, of course, vanilla Destiny 1, the raid then, Vault of Glass, had nothing to do with the main campaign, you could argue, and there were mentions to Vault of Glass, only, I think, once while you were playing during the Archives mission. Even that was very off the cuff, and if I'm remembering correctly, it happened after the mission was over when you get that 30-second countdown, so not very prominent at all. But again, Destiny 1's story was kind of a mess, so I don't think they would do that again in this. I think they would want to have a little bit of context for what Leviathan is, and it turns out there are some theories out there. So quickly going over the theory, I'll leave a link down below for the Reddit thread that goes into this in much more detail, but essentially it seems like the Leviathan might be some sort of giant being that might in fact be controlling not only Gaul, but the Consul himself. Now, this would be a very interesting sort of double twist to see that not only is Consul influencing Gaul, but there is this giant space Leviathan controlling the Consul. So where does this all come from? Well, if you look at the trophy artwork, you see a very curious symbol in the upper left-hand corner, which is something that we've seen before. Luke Smith wore this on stage during the Destiny reveal event. He has also mentioned in interviews that there's a purpose to why he was wearing what he was wearing. But now we can see here in this trophy list that this clearly has something to do with the raid and the Leviathan. But that's just scratching the surface. During the Destiny 2 console beta, while installing the game to your console, some concept art does display on screen, and you can see here that one of the pieces is very curious. Now, the thing we've come to learn with Destiny concept art is that not all of it makes it into the game, so we sort of wrote this off as a cool design or something along those lines. But if you look carefully, you can see that same shape in the mouth of whatever this is. A lot of people are thinking that this is the Leviathan. And if you kind of look at the symbol and look at the mouth of this thing with the little glowing sphere at the top, it does resemble those same shapes very closely, almost a little too close for it to be an accident. And that's not still even it. There's even more evidence. If you look at the limited edition box, which is also what's coming in the collector's edition, you have that gold box. But if you look closely at the different designs on this box, you can make out the same shapes again and again. If you look at the spine, you see that exact same shape, just upside down. And if you look at the character right in the middle, which could be Gaul or probably the Consul, you see these little worm type things all around it. And at the mouth of the worm is that same shape. So it looks like these are all giant space worms called Leviathans. And if they are in fact controlling Gaul and the Consul, then we might have a little problem on our hands. That hopefully will resolve by eradicating them all in the raid, or at the very least fighting one of them. So the Destiny 2 vanilla raid will probably be called the Leviathan, maybe something a little more creative. They might be hiding the full name from the trophy list. So of course, as usual, we will have to wait and see. Next up, we have the Prestige. This is another very interesting trophy because it sort of implies a new difficulty for all of the activities. So this trophy reads, complete the Leviathan raid or a Nightfall Strike on Prestige difficulty. Now, we haven't seen anything called a Prestige difficulty in any of the screenshots. We've only ever seen a normal and heroic. Of course, they could have been hiding that in the older builds. But it seems like we're going to be getting something along the lines of a legendary type difficulty from Halo. That's my hope. And also, this is not the first place we've seen the word prestigious used. A while back we saw some footage showing something called prestigious gear, which was the reward for completing the flashpoint, so it could be related to that. Also, it could be the challenge modes built into its own difficulty. There's a lot of different possibilities. There might be some special modifiers or conditions for prestigious difficulty. It all remains to be seen. But moving on from that, we have the final trophy for Destiny 2 called Lest Ye Be Judged. And that simply reads, Encounter an Emissary from Beyond. Now, the very quick thing you can notice from this artwork is, of course, the Roman numeral 9 in the upper left-hand corner, and just like with the Leviathan raid, there's a good chance that this is significant in some way. A lot of people are theorizing this is simply just encountering Xur somewhere out there, since he is the agent of the 9. And the last theory out there is that this could somehow be tied to Trials of the 9, since that is the rumored name of that event. This could be tied into that in some way. It could simply be for talking to whoever is going to be officiating the Trials of the 9, sort of like a Brother Vance type character. Also, the 3 symbols you see on this trophy do also appear on Luke Smith's hoodie. In fact, he changed into it out of the one for the raid. So this could be pointing at endgame activity. It could be something like going flawless. It's going to be a little bit easier to go flawless in Destiny 2 with guided games. And if that's the case, that would be the only other Crucible achievement. But anyways, that was a very interesting list of trophies. My one criticism for this list of trophies as far as trophies go is that there doesn't seem to be anything super difficult, and there's some really interesting omissions. For one, there's nothing that has to do with clans. I would say maybe something like help 50 guided game seekers complete some activity. That would be a really interesting trophy to collect, incentivizing people to invite people into guided games. There's also nothing like a flawless raider type situation, something really challenging to get. But aside from that, very interesting, very exciting. I'm not sure if Bungie would have preferred for this list of trophies to be put out so soon, but that is typical for PlayStation trophies. They do come out a couple weeks ahead of the game. But anyways, let me know what you think of the different topics that we discussed in this video. What do you think of the trophy list? Let me know in the comments below. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe for more Destiny content. And I will see you all next time.